We thank you for your generosity. When my grandfather was dying several years ago, my mom, his daughter, went to visit him. He was very afraid of death. An old man who had overcome many obstacles in his life, who had managed to live about 90 years in spite of decades of nagging health conditions. He lay in a hospital bed on the first floor of his home, visibly tense with anxiety. My mom leaned in close to him. She held one of his hands. She let one of her hands rest on his chest so that it rose and fell with his breathing. And then she told him something like this. She said, "Listen, imagine back to the first thing you knew about living. Imagine back to your mother's womb. Her heartbeat guided yours. Her breathing and walking lulled you. You would not have wanted to leave that space. But soon you had to. You entered a bright and noisy world, vastly different, overwhelming. But your mother swaddled you and held you close. You breathed in her skin as she held you and nursed you, and you gazed into each other's eyes. You would not have wanted to leave that behind. But you could not stay an infant forever. And soon you were a walking, talking child, able to engage with the world. You explored outside, learning, growing, asking, wondering, and everything was awake with adventure. You would not have wanted to go back to being an infant, nor would you have wanted to move on. You did not know what the future held, and some days you wished would last forever. But it is not the nature of being that things should stay the same, and soon you said goodbye to childhood. You became a successful man. You fell in love. She walked with him in his memory through becoming a father and then a grandfather, through divorce, career changes, aging, right up to that moment. He already knew what to do, she said. This was just the next thing. Like birth, infancy, childhood, and all through adulthood, it's hard to let go of what's familiar. But the sacred text of our lives and everything about the seasons and the cycles around us bear witness to the promise that all will be well. Now, once again, she said, you can have faith that what comes next will be enchanting. His breathing seemed easier after this, and his body was more relaxed. Within a few days, he passed away, with his family by his side. I have behind me 3 bright and beautiful high school seniors on the brink of graduation and the brink of adulthood. And here I'm reminded of the cautionary tale the chaplain of Harvard Divinity School tells about the time she officiated at her first wedding, her very first wedding, in which she preached to the earnest couple not about love or the extravagant promises they were about to make to each other or how their relationship would evolve over time, but about death. She preached about death at the wedding. She began to suspect she had miscalculated. Halfway through the wedding homily, when faces went ashen on both family sides. And yet the story of my grandfather's last days, like the story of caterpillars and butterflies and of mountains rising from what used to be oceans, and like the stories playing out in every object and being in nature, remind us of what we already know, that change alone is constant. That we nurture a deep peace within ourselves, not in spite of change, but through it. Because change and growth and transition are the very essence of being. Many of us know firsthand the most difficult of changes: divorce, loss of health or ability, loss of a loved one's, loss of a job or home. And we know some of the most welcome ones: falling in love, a new marriage, the launch of a job that you worked hard to get. What about the changes that are in between? I remember that the transition from childhood to adulthood is just that way. Thrilling and filled with a sense of accomplishment and possibility and freedom, but it also brings with it that feeling of irreversibility. that can leave a lump in the throat and put some tension in our shoulders. There's no going backward. It's okay to regress once in a while. We all do. But we can't restore what life has transformed. And becoming an adult, just like other kinds of changes that many of us right here in the room are experiencing this morning, can be a bit overwhelming. How long will it take to get the hang of it? When will life feel normal again? And what will my new normal look like? New normal. I invite you to write that phrase on your minds. All of us. Me too. Because wherever you are in life, a new normal is always just right around the corner. In this morning's reading, a lesson from the Buddhist scriptures, the Buddha, world-honored teacher, tells the story of a traveler moving from one terrain, the river, to another, land, and having to decide what to do with her well-built raft. He tells his listeners, a group of monks, not to cling to true teachings. What a startling piece of advice. Here are two things we can take from it. First, that the most important tool, the most important spiritual tool, is not a particular teaching, but a practice. The practice of mindfulness, attention. Be present to life. That's the foundation of all other wisdom. There are as many paths to the future as there are to God. Along each one, sometimes you'll need a raft, sometimes wheels, sometimes wings. Sometimes you'll need a partner, and sometimes you'll have to go it alone. Sometimes you'll feel buoyant, and sometimes your load will be heavy. If you practice mindfulness, if you take time each day and throughout the day to breathe and listen and be without distraction, you won't lose yourself, and you'll perceive what is needed in that part of your journey. Second, a true teaching transforms the student on the inside, teaching you not what to think, but how to think. Not what to love, but how to love. A true teaching isn't something we can cling to and carry with us anyway. It's not like a raft or a book or a big stick. We've all seen religious teachings used like big sticks. A true teaching becomes part of the architecture of your being, like a window where the light shines through. It's the custom in Unitarian Universalism to invite new adults as they are crossing the bridge from childhood to adulthood to share a snapshot of who they are as travelers on life's changing path. And so here, with light shining each in their own way, are Emilia, Dallin, and Maya.
I am currently faced with a large unknown. I'm moving to Ohio next year to attend Oberlin College, where I will not have my parents' constant support. I'll be leaving all of my friends and most of my belongings. I'll be leaving the house where I've spent the last 10 years and the school where I have spent the last 7. I'll be entering the worlds of loans, jobs, bills, scheduling my own doctor's appointments, and amounts of studying that I could not currently imagine. I am nervous, but I'm not afraid. While I will have no choice to leave some aspects of my life and take new items on, I have a choice to which lessons, projects, and mentalities from this upbringing that I can utilize in my future. The last few years, I've been working on what I like to call claiming myself. This is founded in the concept of self-love. I've seen people be extremely harsh on themselves, and I know I have done the same. This is so common that it is a lesson that almost everyone learns without consciously meaning to. However, often people have to teach themselves to love themselves. I think that claiming myself is a strong foundation that I need to be able to function as well as I possibly can as an adult. Every day I make mistakes. May they be big or small, I need to know how to productively deal with them, not only in a fashion that will fix the exterior issue, but deal with it internally and not beat myself up about trivial things. A few weeks ago, I left my purse at a restaurant in Rio Rancho. I realized when I got to my house in the foothills 4 hours later. I kept saying, I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I did this. I'm so stupid. over and over again, almost not even realizing I was saying it. After a few times, my boyfriend had me repeat after him that I was not stupid and that he would not let me use any harsh language towards myself for this simple mistake that almost everyone makes. He taught me a valuable lesson. Even when you make dumb mistakes, you are not dumb and you cannot tell yourself that. There will be times in the future where I am far away from anyone who knows me well enough to call myself out on self-demeaning language, so I must be responsible for myself. I used this lesson recently when I attempted to use the bus alone for the first time. I arrived at the bus station on time, but because my clock was not set correctly in my car, and because I did not think the bus would be early, I thought it was the wrong bus. In hindsight, it was obvious it was the bus I needed to board, but I realized just as it was pulling out, and I looked at the clock on my phone. This was the first day of an internship downtown, and I couldn't believe that I made this huge mistake at the beginning of the day. While I was driving downtown, I couldn't stop thinking about how stupid I was for missing the bus, especially when I was there on time. I remember what my boyfriend had me do after I left my purse, and I ended up giving myself a pep talk. Emilia, yes, it was in third person. Emilia, this is what the internship is for. This is exactly what you're learning to do, and it is not even that big of a deal. This is the beginning of being an adult, and you messed up, but you know that you will be in similar situations in the future, so this is to learn how to function. You'll be making mistakes like this your whole life, not because you're stupid, but because you're human. Pep talks and self-assurance might seem like a small feat, but harsh language towards yourself is more damaging than you might think. I was told I was stupid by someone close to me for years until I believed it, and it's been 2 years since I believed it, but I still tear myself down. Claiming myself created strength where I could recognize when I start using this language and helps me recognize when I need to separate from someone, no matter how close you were, to make sure that I am okay. This is the most important lesson that I will bring to college with me.
Do not simply practice an art. Instead, force your way into its secrets, for it and knowledge can raise men to the divine. Beethoven said that. Now, why I quoted that to you, I'm not entirely sure. It's not on my paper here. It wasn't part of my plan. I just thought it'd be something nice to do. I was uncertain why I did that. Now, in my life, I'm only certain of a few things, and one of those things is I will always be uncertain. I'll give you a second to think about that. To preface this, I will first give you an example of a law of science that has been dictating physics and chemistry for the past almost 100 years. Werner Heisenberg, a German scientist, came up with Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which regards atoms and their movement. Basically, you can either know where an atom is, but not how fast it's going, or you can know how fast it's going, but not where it is. You can't have both. So you can be completely certain about one aspect of it, but not know anything about any other aspect of it. Now, I'm graduating this year, as you know, and that comes with a huge amount of uncertainty. Where am I going for college? What will I major in? Questions I get to be asked almost every time I mention I'm a high school senior. I've actually made the decision to take a gap year, which then, of course, what will you do? Where will you go? How are you going to do this? I'm actually uncertain of these things. I have several ideas. I might work at a Starbucks. I might pursue a career here in film in New Mexico. We have a great industry. I'm not sure. I'm uncertain. So, as I mentioned earlier about Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, I know for a fact that I love chemistry. That's something I plan to do in college. When people ask me what's going to be your major, I always say chemistry, with a possible double major or minor in music. However, I am very open to going through an institution's doors saying, "Teach me chemistry," but walking out with a degree in history. I have learned a lot through uncertainty. I learned once in 8th grade that wearing jeans in the summer was actually cool, but not for me because I got hot. I learned that. I was once uncertain in the same year whether or not I should get highlights in my hair. And I did, and that led to a 2.5-year phase of almost every color known to man being splashed across my head like paint thrown at a canvas. When I was 9, I was uncertain as my parents drove me up to the Jemez Mountains to a camp called Hummingbird. I resisted all the way there, even a few days into camp. However, this summer, I'll be returning as a second-year counselor for my 9th year. Now, a very long time ago, the first time I can remember at least, I was uncertain as to why I was on this earth, a question I was again asking myself this morning at 3 a.m. when I was still awake for no reason. I haven't quite found an answer to that, I don't think. It's just one of those things about just growing up or just building character. However, what we're here for and what we're made of is different. I haven't determined my purpose, and I love that about myself. But what I'm made of is what I've done, through certainty and through uncertainty. I have another layer between the atoms that make me up, the atoms we can determine the speed of or the location of, but not both, and also between the mouth you see moving and the feet I'm standing upon today. I have my memories with me. I remember being very nervous and sweaty and feeling I'm about to vomit. And no, I was not skydiving or driving at about 100 miles an hour. I was going in for my first kiss. I also have a memory one time of sitting with Ian up here in his car at 1 a.m. at this red light, and we were laughing harder than I've ever laughed in my life because I was having an issue about which I was uncertain, and suddenly we decided we needed to laugh, and so we did. I have memories of things I love and things I dislike and everything in between. I have memories of people saying, "We thought we lost you, but welcome back," after a period of reconstructing myself. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to be like a phoenix, born again from your own ashes. Through uncertainty, I have done amazing things, well, things I call amazing. I've written and published a book. I wrote and conducted a 3-movement piece of music just a little while ago. I traveled to Germany on exchange, not quite knowing German. I have a memory, actually, of being in a mall and buying a T-shirt with Heath Ledger's character of the Joker from the Batman series. And I thought it was a really cool shirt, and so the guy said, "Oh, der Joker von den Batman-Serien," meaning, oh, the Joker from the Batman series. And before I could respond, he went off at about 1,000,000 miles an hour. I just stood there going, "Oh, God, what do I do?" And he went, "You're American, huh?" And I went, "Yeah, I am." But I did all of these things, and I loved them. I won't forget them either. And personally, I think that great famous expression, "I'm off to seek a great perhaps," is null and void because there are great perhapses everywhere you look. Instead, all I can hope to do and all I hope to achieve is to say, I am perhaps off to seek greatness.
When I look back at this church, I see the laughter and the openness of this congregation. Growing up here is like having a second home. In this congregation, I'm able to express who I really am without being criticized. I'm able to share parts of me that people don't normally see. For instance, last year I talked about my dyslexia and how it has made me a stronger person. Our community is accepting and supports me in the journey to find myself. Some of the gifts that I have received in this community are the friends I've made. In my life, I have met many people through school and summer camps. But here, the friends I have made through La McCoy, my childcare job, and other church activities are different. The connections we have built are long-lasting friendships. Julia and Ian are some of the 2 most amazing friends I have met here. They accept me for who I am, and I normally feel the urge to hold back. When I'm around them, I feel free. I'm able to show my true colors and express my interests and passions. I still remember the first time we both hung out. It was at the weekend family church camp in the Jemez. Despite our age differences, we managed to grow together. Julia is one of the most amazing, outgoing person I have ever met. I'm able to share deeply with her and listen to her too. She guides me through the most rough parts of my life, and I'm grateful for that. Ian, you are the most loving, kind-hearted, and thoughtful person I've ever met. Together we have grown so much, and you balance me out and show how you bring the light of me that I don't know existed. You show me how you have shown me to be how to love a person that I didn't know was possible. Learning together is like a philosophy class. I have had so many eye-opening conversations with you. Thank you, Julia and Ian, for the experiences we've had together. However, friendships is not the only thing that I found at this church. I have found mentors. I've also found mentors. Many of you have given me the encouragement to follow my dreams and help me when I'm in need. For instance, some of you may know that I'm raising money for breast cancer while I'm spreading awareness for breast cancer prevention. My goal this year is to raise $1,000 by my 19th birthday on May 15th. In this campaign, at the end of this campaign, I'll be shaving my head in honor of the women and men fighting breast cancer and the ones who didn't make it. I have raised about 75% of my goal, thanks to many of you here today. If you have given me reinforcements and guidance in the past, thank you. I appreciate it, even if I don't mention you by name today. I haven't forgotten your advice and your support. If you'd like to contribute to my cause, please find me after the service. The advisors from La McCoy and Church Camp have given me so much insight, encouragement, and guidance. They keep me motivated to reach my highest potential. Mira, Chucky, Libby, Arnie are some of the most amazing fighters that have mentored me. Mira and Chucky have helped me develop my leadership skills through Church Camp. I use these skills to lead my peers at school. I will also use these skills to lead older adults. I'll use these skills through my career and beyond. Libby has shown me how to be a confident woman who has stand up for what's right. She is still mentoring me while she serves the Peace Corps in Fiji as she follows her passion. I have admired her courage. Witnessing Libby's bravery has made me a more assertive person. Libby has also taught me to be persevere because hard work will pay off in the end. I miss her and I can't wait to see what she does next. Finally, Arnie has shown me to always have fun and to not take things too seriously. Lastly, I would like to thank our inspirational ministers giving thought-provoking sermons. Christine's 4-part sermon on Unitarians, Universalists, Humanists, and Transcendentalists took me by surprise. I didn't know how interconnected we are. Angela, I loved how the 3-part sermon on the body, mind, and soul. I never thought of our beings in that way. I still don't know how our soul is, but your sermon made me think about our souls in different angles. James, you have guided me through a meaningful transition. Thanks to the 3 of you, you have made a big impact in my life. All in all, this community has supported me in unique ways. I speak from my experiences, and there's many stories to be told in this family of people. I continue to treasure your advice as I start my next chapter in my life. I also continue to give back to continue to give back to this community as I get older. It's comforting to know that I'll always have a home here, wherever life may take me. I would like to end with these words from Mr. Rogers. When I was a boy and I would see scary things on the news, my mother would say, look for the helpers. You will always find people helping. To this day, especially during disasters, I remember my mom's words, and I'm always comforted by realizing that there are still so many helpers, so many kind people in this world. Thank you.
When we welcome people at the beginning of childhood into our community, we do it by giving them a rose, and we do this at a child dedication ceremony. We give them tightly closed buds on stems from which the thorns have actually been removed. The buds are symbols of life just beginning, whose unfolding we will experience petal by petal just as they will. The thornless stems are vivid images of our intent to protect the children of our church family from all that could be hurtful, harmful, and to make their path smooth as their lives unfold. The youth before us today are on the other end of childhood, and it is fitting once more to use those symbols, those images from the past, to speak to them and to ourselves and to what has come. Again, a rose. Not the tight bud of babyhood now, but a larger, more vividly colored rose, closer to opening into a full and glorious flower. The stem this time is not so carefully stripped of thorns. We can no longer hold away the hurts and dangers of adulthood, any more than we can keep this rose from opening. Though adult life is occasionally sharply painful, as well as rich in color and texture, we urge our young adults to engage in it fully. And while we are not able to protect them, we try to give them the tools to protect themselves, like values by which to measure their lives, decision-making skills, and the knowledge of how and to think instead of merely what to think, and the religious community in which to test and refine the directions of their lives and to walk in the ways of love. And so we can say goodbye to childhood now with confidence, as well as some lingering wistfulness, and eagerly await the opportunity of greeting today's Bridgers as young adults.
Now I'd like to say a few words to each of you. Throughout the last few years, I've gotten to know you all well, and I'm honored to call you some of my best friends. I want to share what I've observed in the marvelous individuals that we're welcoming into the fold. Emilia, you're one of the happiest, most intelligent, and most positive people I know. You take on so many challenges with an eager and confident air, and you're always ready with a smile. You're active, you're involved, and you're enthusiastic, and Oberlin will be privileged to welcome you next semester. Dallin, you're the embodiment of a true friend. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, you make it fun. You're dedicated, you're honest, and you're funny, and not to mention extremely hardworking. You've accomplished amazing things, and you'll go on to accomplish many more, and I promise, as soon as finals are over, I'll read your novel. I promise. Maya, you and I go way back. No matter the circumstances, no matter every enormous difficulty along the way, you're always there, willing to work through it and come out stronger than before. You're incredibly insightful and understanding, and you've shaped me and your community so much with your love and your care. It'll be a privilege to grow and learn at your side for the next few years at UNM. You who are bridging today have grown beyond what you once were. With each new day and each new experience, you learn more about yourself, your world, and your faith. Your past will serve you well on your journey. We who are gathered today honor you at this transformative time of your life. As a young adult who has also made this transition, I welcome you into the adult life of our congregation.
Let all adults who are gathered here this morning, the young adults, the middle adults, and the spiritual elders, welcome these Bridgers. For it is your presence and your love, your generosity of time, talent, and treasure that have made this sacred place and this a beloved community. As we receive Emilia, Dallin, and Maya as new young adults into the life of the community and pledge honor and pledge honor to and wisdom and contributions. Again, let us all welcome them with an applause.
Emilia, Dallin, and Maya, you have crossed the bridge from childhood to adulthood as Unitarian Universalists. Blessings on each of you and on your families, and may love bless you and guide you in all that is the journey of your lives. Wherever life leads you, may you know you have a spiritual home here. Please rise as you are able for our closing song.